Welcome to Speculation Nation. You've got Nick and Will here talking dynasty rankings for each of the position plays for your rookie draft and just general speculation about the fun that comes post draft hype. Will, how you doing today?
Doing well.
Awesome. Well, let's just dive right into our strategies. If you were starting a dynasty team, what do you think would be the thing you'd want somebody to tell you about most? What avenue would you give advice to a startup dynasty drafter?
I think that keeping the idea of the next year in your mind is a good thing to do, but you should try to win. Dynasty leagues fall apart.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, no. I think that is the number one thing that most people overlook. They go, I'll build a team 3, 4 years down the road from now, but no, dynasty leagues fall apart 3, 4, 5 years down the road.
6, 7 years. Yeah. You should try to win. You want to be one of the teams that wins during this time that it's together.
So, if you had the 101 in a dynasty draft right now, are you taking an established player like a Zeke Elliott? Or are you going young like a Saquon Barkley, whose situation post draft is not as exciting as maybe some people would like it to be? A Saquon draft dynasty owner speaking for.
Nobody liked the Daniel Jones pick. There are two things to consider here. So I just said you should try to win. That is one thing you should try to consider, but it is also really fun to have the best players. So if I were picking right now, Saquon Barkley's it because he is a generational talent. They throw that around, but I don't.
Yeah, I mean, there's very little to not like about Saquon Barkley. I worry with a Daniel Jones pick, OBJ trade. All of a sudden, we're talking about Barry Sanders 2.0 instead of, but
If you want to try to
Walter
win
Payton.
this year, maybe it's not Saquon Barkley. Maybe, but he's still way up there. It's a judgment call. You should have players that you love following from year to year. It's hard to own a player you dislike in a dynasty league. That's a difficult situation to put yourself in, unless it is putting you in a winning position, which always feels the best.
All right, well, let's shift that over just a little bit then. So Saquon Barkley maybe 101, maybe a Zeke in my opinion. But
Of course.
what are you gonna do in your fifth round? Are you looking at targeting a quarterback? Are you building running back depth? What do you think is the key to success for long term builds?
For long term, you should be looking for the things that people say are long term best options. If the way I would read that question is just what can you fill every year? And I would say that you should have a good quarterback. It's inexcusable in a dynasty league not to have a good quarterback. You should be working on that until you have it. Once you have it, you have it. And then you don't need to work on it anymore. Spend nothing on it. Once you have Tom Brady, ride out those 10 years. It's great. You don't need to worry about that forever. The same way with anything else you've set up for a decent period of time. You'll never set up wide receiver for long, and you'll never set up running back enough.
So if Travis Kelsey was there for you in the fourth, would you jump on that in a dynasty, or do you think that's too high?
I think you need to jump on one of the best. It has a similarity to year to year. You should heighten these very one specific, like you only have to start one player at this position. You should heighten those, especially in a dynasty startup. You should definitely have one of those that's young. If you're going to have Travis Kelsey when he's young, it doesn't matter that Greg Olsen is good at the same time. You need this to happen for a long time.
Yeah, I agree. Like winning positions like quarterback and tight end, everybody for the most part, time in and time out is going to have good running backs and good wide receivers. But if you can dominate at two or three crucial positions, even going so far as to talk about defense and kicker, like if you know you can win at those spots, you've got the luxury of playing around and building, especially in a dynasty league, around wide receiver
In
and
fact, I would say
running
you
back.
need to work towards that. Get these positions squared away, and then use all of your capital towards making sure that you have these other things that are more, they fluctuate.
Well, there's definitely no version of my life where I'm not trying to think as little as possible. So I think those are good, sound strategies to carry into a dynasty draft. But if I'm doing a redraft league right now, is there a quarterback that you think I should be looking at? Because as far as I can tell, there's maybe Kyler Murray and not much else behind that. Is there one you were looking at?
Absolutely not. He's the only one that could ever be good in his first year. Running quarterbacks have a. Lamar Jackson last year ended up being a usable fantasy quarterback purely for the rushing. So, yeah, there's nobody else to look at. But you'll know that later. Like, you don't have to worry about that. If you're picking Kyler Murray, do that because you think you've caught magic. Real magic.
So a guy like Dwayne Haskins, you know I'm low on. I'll tell the rest of you as someone who lives in Big Ten country and never really heard much about Dwayne Haskins until the draft process. I am not a fan. I don't think he's even a rosterable quarterback, even in Dynasty. I don't see him playing out his entire 5-year rookie contract. Would you stash him on a bench if you felt like you had the depth for it?
I would consider it. I actually understand both sides of this argument. Big Ten country, we saw Drew Brees come up and saw him get drafted in the second round. We knew who he was. He set records. He was a famous man. Dwayne Haskins wasn't famous coming up. I get that as an idea. I do kind of trust that people knew, and he was good, and he was the only reason that he wasn't considered on that same. I don't know why he wasn't famous. I don't know if I care about fantasy football, or I don't know if I care about college football enough.
Oh, I know I don't. Beyond Haskins, I think maybe Drew Lock could be rosterable if you want to watch him all year by the end of the year for next year.
You know for a fact,
you're
not in
gonna be,
redraft.
if you know you're going to be early pick next year and you don't want to have to think about quarterback, I think Drew Lock is a stashable guy. But
Yes.
is there anybody else who's doing anything for you?
No, don't bother. Don't bother getting caught up in the idea that these people are good at football.
Why don't we pose it in this question, right? If you were in a startup dynasty draft, would you rather have Derek Carr or would you rather have Dwayne Haskins?
Clearly, Derek Carr.
Would you rather have Derek Carr?
What situation did you find yourself in, if that's the case? If they were my number one quarterback, I'd rather have Kyler Murray because there's hope.
It's Kyler Murray or it's nothing. Just like last year, it was pretty much Baker Mayfield or it was nobody. What's going on at tight end, Will? Is there a rookie tight end that's moving the needle for you? Are we going to get something out of this? Very hyped 2 first-round tight ends. That is not a common occurrence.
I don't think there were
TJ
physical freaks.
Hockett or an Irv Smith Jr. even.
There were not physical freaks this year. There were none. There were only decent seam tight ends that have some speed.
Well, I think TJ Hockett's upside is more around the.
I think Hawkinson is the
But
greatest thing for the Lions.
But his floor is probably 3. So
Hawkinson's upside for the Lions is to make their offense an effective offense. He's not going to be a statistical player. Like, that isn't going to be his deal. He's just going to make them a better team. T.J. Hawkinson is great for Kerryon Johnson and for Matt Stafford. not for T.J. Hawkinson. Noah Fant is the next seam-breaking tight end.
And it'll be great in 3 years.
Tony Scheffler.
Tony Scheffler, indeed. Moving on to rookie wide receivers. Is there a wide receiver from this rookie class that you would take over Harry, or is Harry just the end-all, be-all?
Harry seems like the best bet. My favorite is A.J. Brown. I think that he will be important to his team right away. DK Metcalf with the Seahawks is a crazy thing not to bet on. They want that thing forever. Lockett last year is a small thing. Now they have a big thing, and it's the same as Lockett.
You're singing my song. I think DK Metcalf, especially for like first year rookie impact wide receivers, I don't think there's any way he doesn't lead the way, and I think it's gonna be by probably a good margin. If I had to pick who the Calvin Ridley of this draft was, who's the wide receiver who could put up 10 touchdowns rookie season, I think it's DK Metcalf. And I don't think it's even close, especially if the news about Baldwin turns out to be true and he's ends up retiring before training camp's over.
It's weird to need a wide receiver, and they need one. It's weird to need a wide receiver. No team needs a wide receiver, and they need one, and they got one.
Well, and they didn't just get one. Outside of his one
the most famous
set of measurables, he had a combine freak. So, yeah, maybe he's not going to be able to perform a lot of great double moves, but what he will do is just catch the ball and throw you aside and run away.
And a big deal is, so A.J. Brown will be able to do everything for Marcus Mariota that he needs. Russell Wilson doesn't need wide receivers to do things. Whatever they can do, he'll take advantage of. Pete Carroll will allow whatever player to do whatever they can do to the best of their ability. That's an established aspect of that coaching staff.
What's your feeling on, like, the wide receivers taken by the Ravens? Is Hollywood Brown going to be good? Is Boykins going to be the one who emerges? Does it not even matter?
What's neat about that, of course, it matters whether they're good, but it doesn't matter to you as a fantasy player. I don't think that they're, as your fifth wide receiver in a redraft fantasy league or even in your dynasty league, fine, Hollywood Brown, super cool. All that's going to do is open up things for the rest of their game. They're not going to play a game where he catches more than 60 balls. If he catches more than 60 balls, I'll eat my hat.
So, while we're on the note of rookie receivers, I think we have to talk about the most exciting rookie receivers, which go along with the most exciting rookie quarterback. Is Hakeem Butler or Isabella, do they put something into the mix for you? Are they guys that you would take over a Hollywood Brown? Are they guys that you would take over something that is decent in your draft that, like, for keepers?
In Dynasty, I would definitely take Isabella is going to replace Kirk unfairly. It's going to feel bad. But he's just going to replace him because he does the same thing and he does it better. And the other, like, we don't have the old regime protecting this scrappy, cool player because Isabella is a scrappy, cool player. Hakeem Butler isn't interesting to me much. Not yet. So stash him if you want to. But Larry Fitzgerald's going to do that job.
Yeah,
like, you don't have to worry about that.
I think until Fitz is out, there's no real reason to.
But Fitz is going to be Kyler Murray's best goddamn friend ever. It's going to be great.
I mean, if
I'm excited for Kyler
to get
Murray.
one more year of juice out of him, this situation couldn't be better.
I don't mean to mess anything up, but
sure.
I think Kyler Murray should be a first-round Dynasty rookie pick. Because you're just trying to get the next best thing. If you don't have a great quarterback, you should be trying to get the next great quarterback, and he is the only one who could be. What N'Keal Harry does is take the top off for Julian Edelman.
Yeah,
he takes the top off. Julian Edelman is going to be targeted so heavily.
Oh, yeah.